Everybody,
Good morning.
appreciate you joining us, and we have several here in person. Good to see you, and a few joining us online. It does appear from eyesight that we have enough to have a quorum, so we'll go ahead and get started this morning. We'll call our meeting to order. I'm David Martin, Chair of the Commission on Teacher and Administrator Education, Certification, and Licensure and Development. The Commission, present at Central High School Building, 4th floor boardroom, 359 Northwest Street, Jackson, Mississippi, 39201. This is a regular meeting of the Commission being held Friday, January 5th, 2024 at 10 a.m. pursuant to Mississippi Code annotated 25-41-5 with some Commission members present via teleconference. Notice of this meeting, which included date, time, place, and purpose of the meeting and identified the location is available to the public, has been posted. Audio recordings being made of the meeting and minutes will be recorded. Item 1, our call to order. Meeting is being called to order at 10:01 a.m. on Friday, January 5th, 2024. And we'll establish a quorum. As I call the member's name, please state your location for the record. If you're online, don't forget to unmute yourself. Dylan Baldwin.
Jackson, Mississippi.
Sir. James Creel. Having some connection issues. Rebecca Gray.
Rebecca Gray, Atlanta, Mississippi.
Thank you, ma'am. Mary Hill Taylor.
Mary Hill Taylor, Bailey, Mississippi.
Thank you, ma'am. John Howard.
John Howard, Clarksville, Mississippi.
Thank you, sir. Kim Hubbard.
Kim Hubbard, Flowood, Mississippi.
Thank you, ma'am. Dr. Teresa J. Rowe.
J. Rowe, MDE.
Thank you, ma'am. Dr. Bernell Kelly.
Kelly, Gulfport, Mississippi.
Thank you, ma'am. William Murphy.
Present, Jackson, Mississippi.
Dr. Teresa Poole.
President, Jackson, Mississippi.
Ma'am. Dr. Shelley Simmons.
Present, Jackson, Mississippi.
Ms. Etta Taplin.
Present, Jackson, Mississippi.
Thank you, ma'am. Aaron Wilson.
Present, Jackson, Mississippi.
Thank you, sir. All right, appreciate everybody doing that, and we do have enough for a quorum. Quorum of the commission is present at the location stated for conducting a meeting through in-person and teleconference means. Item 3, approval of our minutes from the November 3rd, 2023 meeting, Commission of Teacher and Administrator Education, Certification, Licensure Development. Entertain a motion for approval. Please identify yourself for the record.
Aaron.
Motion to approve, Kim Hubbard.
Thank you, ma'am. Need a second?
Second, Aaron Wilson.
Thank you, sir. Any discussion? All right, no discussion. We'll call for a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank you. Any opposed? Motion carries. Move on to item 4. This is approval of hearing a subcommittee minutes from November 3rd. Subcommittee members present on that date were myself and Kim Hubbard and Rebecca Gray. We'll entertain a motion for approval. Please identify yourself for the record.
Motion to approve, Kim Hubbard.
We'll give Ms. Hubbard the motion. Second.
Second, Rebecca Gray.
Great, thank you, ladies. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries. Move on to item 5, approval of hearing of subcommittee minutes from the November 15th, 2023. Subcommittee members present that day, Dr. Shelley Simmons, Jamie Creel, and William Murphy. Entertain a motion for approval. Please identify yourself for the record.
Motion for approval, Jamie Creel.
There's Mr. Creel joining us. Where are you at, Mr. Creel?
Ridgeland, Mississippi.
Ridgeland. Thank you, sir. Need a second?
Second, Shelley Simmons.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to item 6, approval of hearing of subcommittee minutes from December 6. Members present that day, Dr. Shelley Simmons, Jamie Creel, and Kim Hubbard. Entertain a motion for approval.
Approval, Jamie Creel.
Thank you, sir. Need a second?
Second, Shelley Simmons.
Ma'am. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Y'all making quick work of this morning. Moving on to item 7, adoption of our agenda for today. Entertain a motion for approval of agenda. Please identify yourself for the record.
Motion to approve, William Murphy.
Thank you, sir. Need a second?
Second, Dylan Baldwin.
Thank you, sir. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to item 8, MDE updates. Dr. Corey Murphy.
Thank you, Chairman Martin. Good morning to each of you and Happy New Year. I hope your year is off to a good start. If there's anything that we can do for you, I'd like to always remind you that please do not hesitate to contact us. And so, as always, we'd like to thank you for your commitment to serving the Mississippi educator workforce, and as equally as important, the students that make up Mississippi schools. The policies you recommend are all geared toward ensuring the safety and welfare of our children and anyone providing services in an educational nature. And so with that, we can't thank you enough for the hard work you put in recommending policies and procedures and things of that nature that really governs our schools and districts. And so as Dr. Deborah Burson joins us at the table to prepare to provide you with an update, an educator workforce update from an educator preparation perspective, I want to publicly thank Mr. William Hamilton for his dedicated service as a former member of the Licensure Commission. Mr. Hamilton, first term, it actually expired December 31st of 2023, I'm sorry. And he has decided not to accept the opportunity to serve at his second and final 4-year term. And so, Mr. Hamilton, he may or may not be watching, but if he's watching for some reason, just wanted to publicly say, thank you for your service. Dr. Burson.
Thank you. Good morning, Chairman Martin, Dr. Murphy, members of the Commission. It's my pleasure to be before you today to bring a very high-level overview of our 2023 Educator Preparation Provider Annual Performance Report. And as we begin this presentation, we like to start with the State Board of Education's vision and mission for the work that we do. We know that as we look at our vision, we want to create a world-class educational system that gives students the knowledge and skills to be successful in college and the workforce and to flourish as parents and citizens. And within that scope, the mission, which drives what we do on a daily basis, to provide leadership through the development of policy and accountability systems so that all students are prepared to compete in the global community. And as a part of this mission and the work that we do, we have 6 very lofty goals by the State Board. And as you'll see, there's a gold star on 4 because for the work that we do in Educator Continuum in the Office of Teaching and Leading, every school having effective teachers and leaders, I would say, is the tie that binds. These goals are very important, and we want to see our students excel in Mississippi, and so having effective teachers and leaders is paramount to this work. So as we begin, to give you a little bit of conceptual understanding of why we do this, as we consider the State Board goals as particularly Goal 4, federal and state regulations establish the authority for the State Board of Education and the Mississippi Department of Education to ensure the quality of teacher preparation. The EPP annual report provides the state with the data necessary to meet the federal regulations found in Title II of the Higher Education Act. Data from this report will always be reported in a one-year lag. Therefore, the 2023 performance report reflects candidate data from academic year 21-22. Specifically, we can look at the Mississippi Code 37-101-29, which speaks to the performance report. Each year, on or before March 31st, EPPs submit their annual report to the Division of Educator Preparation. This report is reflective of cohort data submitted for the Title II reports, which is part of the Higher Education Act. The EPP annual reports satisfy the requirements established in code, as you see here. And this report includes teacher enrollment data, faculty data, characteristics of students receiving initial licensure, program completing scoring at proficiency level on the teacher education exit test, satisfaction rates of our candidates and of our employers, follow-up profiles of graduates, and any other information as required by the State Board of Education. So our first slide just brings us to our 21-22 candidates that were admitted. So you can see from this graph, or this chart rather, that we had 1,426 admitted to non-traditional pathway programs, which was 47.33%. And we had 1,587 admitted to traditional pathways at 52.67%. This slide provides us with a trend line of candidates admitted to programs from 2016 to 2022. There were 3,113 candidates admitted to preparation programs during 21-22. Admitted to the traditional programs, 1,587. Oh, sorry. Let me get on my right notes. Please forgive me for not reading my correct slide. This is our 6-year trend data for candidates admitting to our programs, and you're going to note a big spike in the admitted candidates as a result of the State Board's test suspension policy for 19, 20, and 21. The test suspension period ended December 31st, 2021, and as a result, we're going to see a decrease, or you see a decrease of 49% in admitted candidates for non-traditional pathways. Traditionally, admitted candidate numbers have continued to trend upward. This year's increase was 1%. Again, my apologies. And now we look at the completer data. Our non-traditional pathway completers numbered 1,640, that being 54.30%, and traditional pathways completers being 1,380, 45.7%. Again, we have a trend line that shows from 2016 to 22 what we were seeing in completer candidate numbers. This is our 6-year trend for those who completed teacher education programs. Please note the increase in completers during the test suspension period. The largest increase in completers was seen in non-traditional programs, 122% increase in academic year 2021, a 31% increase for academic year 21-22. Our traditional completers over the same time increased more modestly at 21% in 2021 and 9% in 21-22. Now let's look at our top 5 license areas for our completers for 21-22. And you can see that our elementary program completers totaled 33% of all, social studies at 19%, ELA, English Language Arts, 12%, special education, mild moderate, 9%, and physical education, 7%. This slide represents our candidates who completed in critical shortage areas. As we apply the criteria set forth by the State Board of Education, Rule 70.1, the following subjects were identified as critical shortage. science, mathematics, special education, and world languages. You can see that we had 161 completers in biology, 10 chemistry, 2 physics, 104 in math, 269 in mild moderate disability, 3 in French, and 20 in Spanish. This graph represents those completer candidates in the critical shortage areas. We had 569 total completers in a critical shortage area out of the 3,020 total completers, which is 19% of the total were critical shortage folks. And the traditional pathway contributed 21% to that at an N of 119, and the non-traditional pathways contributed 79%, an N at 450. The next 2 slides are going to address that part of 37-101-29 that asks for us to find out satisfaction. And so in looking at the satisfaction of our completers, we submitted or sent out invitations to surveys to 1,330. The survey is 19 Likert-style questions or scale questions. We had a response of 43.31% or an N of 576. And of the 576, 566 actually completed the entire survey. You can see that 92.57% were satisfied with their preparation, and 91.84% would recommend their cooperating teacher to another student teacher, which we think is significant. Just to clarify again, the cooperating teacher is the teacher of record that serves to work with the student during the student teaching experience. And so in our next slide, we're going to look at what our cooperating teachers had to say about how well they felt the student teacher was prepared. Again, we sent out 1,046 surveys, again, 19 Likert scale questions. We had 886 respond, which was a 57.3% response rate. And of those, 869 completed the survey, 56.21%. And 88.96% of those cooperating teachers indicated an overall satisfaction with EPP preparation. And in the next couple of slides, we will look at a couple of our initial licensure areas at the advanced level. The first is educational leadership. 8 of our EPPs are currently approved to recommend educational leadership candidates for licensure. This slide shows the 6-year trend data for leadership preparation. The red line notes program completers at the specialist level. The blue line represents the master's level. Although specialist candidate completion is down, you can see that the master's level completion is on the rise. We also have program completers at the doctoral level. However, not all EPPs report those numbers, and so this slide just represents those at the master's and specialist level. Our next trend data is for school counselors. So happy to report that as we look at this year's number of completers, we see that we have trended upward to 81 total, which is, we're still not a whole lot of counselors being completing the programs, but this is a 35% increase over last year, and I think is very significant and promising. And so we were excited to see this number. And if you would like to access all 165 pages of this report, you can find it on the MDE webpage on the educator preparation page of the website. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to address those now if I can. Well, thank you for your time.
And thank you, Dr. Burson. This concludes our updates.
Appreciate you gathering that information as always. It's stuff we need to hear and we need to know, because when you put numbers with it, just as all of you people who work in the field, some of those numbers are a bit concerning, and we've known that's been coming, but as we look at retirements and people changing states or leaving education, those numbers become a lot more concerning, and turning around and having a teacher ready is not a 90-day process, a 10-day process. It's a couple years process, so something we've definitely got to be addressing, so appreciate that information. Moving on to item 9, approval of the iTeach Mississippi as an approved educator preparation provider, EPP, to offer a non-traditional pathway to teacher licensure and to begin the Administrative Procedures Act process to revise Mississippi Admin Code 7-4, Part 4, licensure guidelines K-12 to include requirements for teacher licensure specific to prospective iTeach program completers. Dr. Murphy.
All right, thank you, Chairman Martin. As you all may recall, on November 3rd, at your regular meeting, you voted to convene an ad hoc committee charged with strengthening preparation and licensure criteria for the iTeach Mississippi Non-Traditional Pathway Licensure Track proposal. And so subsequent to that date, the ad hoc committee convened on November 29th to do just that. And so members serving on that ad hoc committee were Chairman David Martin, Dr. Teresa J. Rowe, Dr. Teresa Poole, Mr. William Murphy, and Mr. James Creel. After much discussion, the members recommended the following components be added to the existing criteria that was presented to you in November. And so one being the assignment of a Mississippi-based field supervisor that holds at minimum a valid standard educator license issued by Mississippi State Board of Education and a master's degree in education that will be responsible for conducting a minimum of 4 on-site observations during the candidate's year-long teaching residency. The second recommendation is the assignment of an effective mentor teacher as evidenced by a summative Mississippi Professional Growth System observation rating of 3.0 or higher via local school district assurance. The third recommendation to be added is explicitly stating in the policy that the iTeach Mississippi Non-Traditional Teacher Licensure Track Program provider shall meet Mississippi State Board of Education's approved educator preparation provider related program standards as outlined in the educator preparation process and performance review guidelines as codified in Title VII, Part 107 of the Mississippi Administrative Code. And the final recommendation for addition, and lastly, is the iTeach Mississippi Non-Traditional Teacher Licensure Track Pathway Provider shall receive an annual approval in order to operate by way of memorandum of agreement to be authorized by signature of the Mississippi State Superintendent of Education upon determination that all applicable educator preparation process and performance review requirements have been met. And so that concludes my presentation of the item, Chairman Martin.
Thank you, sir. So with that, just so everybody knows, we had the subcommittee meeting and we kind of looked at what had been done in the past and other programs and met, I don't remember how long, but several hours and had some good discussion, and this is where we came to on the recommendation. So appreciate everybody serving on that and appreciate you being here today. All right, we'll entertain a motion for approval, a motion to take under advisement. Please identify yourself for the record.
Motion for approval, Jamie Creel.
Thank you, sir. Need a second?
Second, Dylan Baldwin.
Sir? Any discussion?
Chairman Martin.
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to make a statement.
Yes, ma'am.
As you all know, I represent the private institutions in the state of Mississippi. And Dr. Jaro represents the public institutions. So we have a prepared statement from our MACT, which is a group of deans who represent the public and the private IHEs of our state. So if you don't mind, I could read that.
I think we're good with that.
Okay. The Mississippi Association for Colleges for Teacher Education, which is MACT, is composed of representatives from each college and university in Mississippi with an educator preparation program, EPP. MACT is committed to ensuring the preparation of competent and caring educators for all of Mississippi's children and youth, and to providing leadership in Mississippi for the continuing transformation of professional educator preparation programs. In honoring this commitment, this body continually seeks to offer a range of programs that will attract and retain a greater number of educators for P-12 schools in our state. Upholding integrity and fidelity to quality preparation consistently throughout the state is key to successfully fulfilling this mission. MACT members submitted concerns to Dr. Raymond Morgino, the interim state superintendent, in July of 2023, and our position still holds true due to the following. State IHEs and their MDE partners have worked diligently to both ensure the quality of EPP programs statewide and increase the teacher pipeline. The former quality is evidenced by recent performance by our IHEs on our national accreditation reviews. The latter, the increase of the teacher pipeline, is evidenced by existing offerings for the alternate route programs, and as well as we saw today in our report, with several IHEs offering teacher residency models. Further, the state has the Teach Mississippi Institute, which offers a similar pathway and is also offered online. So we leave with this question: why would the state seek to outsource educator preparation to an out-of-state, for-profit entity rather than seek to collaborate internally to arrive at a pathway with similar benefits? Thank you.
Any other discussion? So with that, I would just say, I know you ended it with asking why they would seek. I don't know that the state did seek. I think that institute, that business asked to operate in the state, and then our job as licensure to set up the guidelines to allow that or not allow that. Say, all right, well, you have a right to offer a business, but here's our minimum criteria to kind of set a rubric for that. That's what the subcommittee's job was to do, was come up and go, try and make them do. And again, I think our local folks are the best route to go, and it's probably the best route for most people, but it's not an option just to say we're not going to take somebody else because you didn't have a building here.
So that question, I understand that part too. That question was actually drafted by all of the deans in our university.
Certainly.
And we're not privy to that.
Yes, ma'am. Any further discussion?
Yeah, Chairman Martin and,
Yes.
and Dr. Poole, this has been a touchy subject for many people. To my understanding, when we had the ad hoc committee, that was the goal of the ad hoc committee, is to make sure that they weren't coming here and undercutting any of our local or statewide projects that we had going on to help these alternate route people. And so I feel, I lean toward what you said, that it's going to be hard to deny somebody or discriminate against someone who meets the criteria that others do, regardless of how we feel towards them. And, I hope that makes sense of what I'm trying to say. But to me, wasn't that the purpose of the ad hoc committee?
Yes, sir. I believe so.
Chairman Martin, I have
Yes,
a
ma'am.
question.
Dr. Poole?
Oh, yes, you're right. Yes, sir.
Ms. Taplin, you had a question?
Yes, so how do we determine once that if we vote for this? So you're saying they come back every year to receive approval again?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Before that point, how do we determine if they've done everything? Because I know they had not done all of this. Have we reached out to make sure that they're going to do all of the things that we've asked that the ad hoc has suggested? What's the procedure for that?
Yeah, so basically if the State Board of Education, if you guys approve today to recommend it to the State Board for consideration for approval, if the State Board of Education approves it, then, we'd establish that memorandum of understanding that the State Board of the superintendent would sign off on. This is how we operated with MAPQT, Alternate Path to Quality School Leadership and Quality Teachers. Every year, they had to submit the state superintendent sign off if they met criteria outlined by the commission and the board. And so that process is not new.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think on the other side, what you were saying is we've given them this list of criteria and go, if you're going to operate, these are our parameters to operate in. So if they go,
Yeah.
well, I'm not interested in 4 visits a year in a local person, then you don't operate here.
Right. Yeah. So it's up to them to accept
To
what you guys
accept
are.
what
Yeah,
we've-
right. We set
Okay.
standards in the state of Mississippi based on, our needs and based on what the State Board of Education and,
Right.
state law see is best for Mississippi for the most part. And if you want to adhere to that, you do that. I mean, it's just like anyone else coming to your institution for whatever else, or you coming here to obtain a driver's license. I mean, laws differ from state to state, purchasing a home. And if you want to purchase a home here, you have to adhere to, the rules of that particular state. And so whatever you guys outline and the State Board of Education approves, if they want to operate, that's what they have to adhere to.
Any further discussion? All right, just to reiterate, we did have a motion for approval and a second for that. If there's no further discussion, then we'll move for a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Who nayed on the phone?
Mary Jo Taylor.
Thank you, ma'am. That we still have a majority, so the motion will carry. And appreciate the discussion. We shouldn't agree with everything, and that's what we need to model and do, is be able to have a discussion and go back and forth and do what ends best for our teachers and students. So appreciate everybody's service with that, and appreciate the comments here today. With that, we'll move on to item number 10, approval ratifications of agreed upon orders and/or voluntary surrenders. Mr. Scott DeYoung.
Thank you, Chairman Martin. And good morning, everyone. Again, Scott DeYoung, Office of Educator Misconduct Evaluations. Our continued effort to obtain settlement agreements on cases. I'd like to present to you today 7 agreed orders for your consideration for ratification. Standard 10, breach of contracts. The following educators have entered into agreed orders for violation of Mississippi Code annotated 37957 and Standard 10 of the Mississippi Educator Code of Ethics and Standards. All have consented to enter into the agreed orders, relinquishing their educator's license without the necessity of a disciplinary hearing before the Commission. All the following licenses shall be relinquished, suspended, or otherwise surrendered from the date of ratification by the Commission through June 30, 2024. All licenses will be eligible for reinstatement upon conclusion of the suspension period, and the respondents must petition for reinstatement of educator's license pursuant to Mississippi Code annotated 3732-14A without the necessity of a hearing. Educator Latasha Davis, license number 187366, admits breaching contract with the Jackson Public School District on or about April 8th, 2022. Educator Latoya Stewart, license number 244479, admits breaching contract with the Jackson Public School District on or about September 14th, 2022. Elise Nash, license 244731, admits breaching contract with the Jackson Public School District on or about September 26th, 2023. Tony Roach, license number 262456, admits breaching contract with the Mississippi Achievement School District, Humphreys County, on or about August 22nd, 2022. Katara Brown, license number 263230, admits breaching contract with the Mississippi Achievement School District, Humphreys County, on or about August 3rd, 2022. Thomas Walker, license 312833, admits breaching contract with the Ocean Springs School District on or about July 21st, 2023. We have one matter of a Standard 9, maintenance of confidentiality. Educator Sparkle Davis, license number 302867, admits violating Standard 9, while employed with the Canton Public School District on or about May 15th, 2023. The respondent has consented to entering into an agreed order suspending her license 2 calendar years from date of ratification by the Commission. The respondent must also complete coursework related to educator ethics prior to the conclusion of the suspension. In addition, the respondent has agreed to cooperate with the Mississippi Department of Education in the investigation of the administration of statewide student assessments in the Canton Public School District during the 2022-2023 school year. After such suspension, respondent may petition for reinstatement of educator license. The Commission, in its discretion, may reinstate the respondent's license only by a majority of Commission members present and after showing evidence of rehabilitation. Failure to comply with this agreed order shall result in the automatic suspension of educator's license for a period of 5 years from the date of breach and/or referral for prosecution. That concludes the agreed orders. Again, the Office of Educator Misconduct requests that you consider these for ratification.
Yes, sir. Appreciate your work on that as always. We know how long those take, and that takes a minute, and you got several done today, so we appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right, we'll entertain a motion for approval or a motion to take under advisement. Please identify yourself for the record.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve, Kim Hubbard.
Need a second?
Second, John Howard.
Sir. Any discussion? Your vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, we're going to move on to our adjournment. So I hope everybody had great holidays, great new year, and hope everybody's got kicked off with a good January, whether you're back in or about to get started. We appreciate you taking the time to join us here today. Appreciate our subcommittee members coming in to deal with the licensure issues and with our other issues on classes and courses and getting providers. So appreciate everybody's time with that. Reminder, our meeting is March 1st is our next scheduled meeting. And we'll move on to item 11, our adjournment. Entertain motion for approval.
Motion for approval, Etta Taplin.
Taplin, need a second?
Second, Aaron Wilson.
Wilson, thank you. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Meeting is adjourned at 10:40 a.m. Thank you all for being here today, and safe travels to those of you who joined us in person.